Welcome back. It's Friday. If you up at this time at 10:31 p.m., shout out to you. Or Eastern time, 10:31. We have not much, a few things to talk about. Not much, just a little, I think. It's Friday, and the last thing you want to talk about is higher education on a Friday. Like, why are you even going live, Henry, on a Friday talking about higher education? Like, who wants to talk about that? I do. But it's just a few things, though. Like I said, we're going through the motions. Just like in sports, when you got a game day, you go through the motions. You don't really go too crazy the day before game day. And so we're in another hotel, as you can see. Um, and we just got this set up. And I'm live right now. Let's do the disclaimer. Let's do the disclaimer. Hope y'all day was well. Let me tell you what happened to me today. I got scratched on my face playing basketball. First time playing ball in like, I played ball, I think like 2 months ago, if that. But it wasn't really, it was like half court. I played today full court. And for first play of the game, I got scratched in the face. I'm really not going to get a job, y'all. They going to see that scratch on my face. They going to say, what? What is this young man doing? They're going to say, he got marks on his face. I can't do right. I can't do right. Where is it? Let's go so we can do this. Come on. Wi-Fi is pretty much, this Wi-Fi is a lot better where we're at right now in this hotel. So we shouldn't have that many hiccups unless my computer keeps going slow. I don't have the fastest computer right now. Right now it's not even uploading. One day. One day it will work. There you go. It's funny when your computer tell you it's working on it. Feel free to skip. I always say feel free to skip, man. Because I'll be waiting on this computer to buffer. All right. Disclaimer. The videos presented here are for informational purposes only, and therefore, if you are to choose to attend the institution, please do your own research and consult with a specialist at the institution you are interested in. I am not a financial aid specialist, academic advisor, or representing any institution. Speaking on behalf of Creator, Henry is only speaking from his experience. So, if you have any questions about that school you want to attend, please talk to them. So, now that we got the fun part out the way, as I like to say, the first thing I want to say is take your time, man. You should take your time in higher education. Everything I'm talking about sometimes in higher education is really common sense, but we have these things called policies, rules, regulations that make things complicated sometimes. I was speaking with my financial aid specialist, man. I was speaking with him, and he had brought up again, like, in order to be considered a full-time student, if you want to get your Pell, for my Pell Grant students out there, because Pell Grant has been the talk of the town. It has been talk of the town, probably talk of the century in higher education. And if you want to get it, like, of course, there's other stipulations to it. Like I said, I'm not a financial aid specialist, but if there might be other stipulations to it. But for sure, if you want to get the full package of it, you have to be like, you have to take 15 credit hours, and that's a lot, man. Um, that's a lot, and that's why I say take your time, because if I was you, I would see how much of my financial aid package I get. Do I have to be enrolled full time? Because remember, they did say they wanted to take, if I'm not mistaken, when we looked at it or reading it, they wanted to take away being eligible for Pell if you're part time. But Honestly, if you take 6 credit hours and you started at a 2 year, you know me, I'm all about you starting at a 2 year. If you started at 2 year, and 2 years are a lot cheaper than universities right now. Always have been and always will be. And so you start at 2 year, you take like 6 credit hours, do part-time schedule until all this mayhem goes away and they get realistic with some things. I say take like 6 credit hours, like what you can afford in your budget. So if you, once again, your per credit hour is like $100 per credit hour, I would do, which is 100 times 6, because you're going to do 100 times 6. You're enrolled in 6 credit hours, so it's going to be 100 times 6. $600. Like take what you can afford. It's no rush. Once again, why rush to something that's not going to guarantee you a job? Y'all say that all the time. People say that all the time. Why I go to college and I can't get a job? Like, look at me right now. I'm in graduate school. I took my time. My graduate program could have been done in a year. It took me 2. I was like, what's the point of rushing? I'm not getting the job right now anyway. It's funny how it worked out. All the stuff going on with the cuts, and a lot of people are scared they're going to lose their job in higher education. So, and I'm glad I took my time, right? Did what was in my budget. And so that helped me not go into debt for graduate school as well. Being strategic, right? They want you to enroll more so they can get more money. And I always say, take your time, be on your own time, because nobody is ever going to ask you, when did you get your degree? Nobody ever asked that. It's more, when do you have it? I have it. Oh, okay. They're not gonna ask you when you got it. Um, no shade to Linda. Y'all, I like Linda. No offense to Linda, but Linda got her degree back in 1963, if I'm not mistaken. You think they asked her when she got it? No. Does she have it? Yes. So, prime example right there. And so that's what I'm all about, taking your time. Don't get caught up in the distractions of other people who are blazing through. I see all the time on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is very educated. I see a lot of people on LinkedIn, man, and they're like, I completed my degree, or yeah, I completed my degree in 2 years, 3 years. You know, I'm happy for you, but it's like, why so fast? It's still a lot to. Did you get the full college experience? You probably like me. You probably don't need to. College experience is overrated, but definitely take your time. I saw something that made me write that, because I think the phone. Please don't tell nobody trying to call us right now. Okay. I saw something. It was something. I be reading a lot, y'all. Like reading posts. But let's go to our briefing. So shout out to the Chronicle of Higher Education. That's where we get some sources from. They have some good topics I like to talk about. They talked about budgets going bust. So as we talked about the budgets, a lot of the topics seem the same, but they're staying on top of it, because remember, like we said, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act is currently at the Senate. So you have to talk about some of the same things, because your policies and budgets, they go hand in hand. But if they close out, if one of them, if that policy activates, it can mess up your budget, or that budget can be messed up because of that policy, vice versa. They work like both ways in a way. It's because human behavior can change the budget, and sometimes it doesn't require a policy. And the human behavior again can mess up the policy or change the policy. So budgets going bust. Spring was marked by uncertainty about how much the Trump administration could rewire the financial ecosystems that have grown up around campuses. It's giving way to a summer that looks very, very painful for colleges, college towns, and the economics they drive. So I said economics, economies, my bad. And so College towns. Does anybody know what a college town is? Anybody know what a college town is? Those are like your rural area schools that are in the middle of nowhere. And so everybody is hurting, man. Every college is hurting. And it's not helping that students don't want to go to school. It's not helping. Like you think, I'm going to tell you right now, students, because I'm a student too. If you think you don't matter or you think it doesn't make a difference, that money that you put into that school doesn't make a difference, it does. It does a lot. If students say, we're not going to this school, if they say that, hopefully that's like every institution worst nightmare. That will hurt that school tremendously. And schools are very scared. Washington keeps trying to pull the financial rug out from under higher ed. Nobody really knows what the Trump administration is trying to do. That's what they're saying. And then everything is having a trickle effect on the budgets. And we talked about the budget like last night, if I'm not mistaken. The budget, 2026 budget. We talked about that. And how the 2026 budget or the 2026 school year, if you're going to be in college, I won't be in college in 2026. But, oh, we got somebody comment. What's good, dude? New here. How are you? We got G in the comment section. I appreciate that, G. How am I? I'm going to check you out. I'm good. I'm good. And welcome to the chat. What are we really talking about today? Right now, I got some things we're going to talk about. Pretty much the same old, I would say. Budgets, college, will a college lower their cost, and the U.S. Department of Education appointees. So, new things, not heavyweight topics, no breaking news, but those are what we're going to talk about today. I was just about to message you back, but I appreciate that fast reply. And so, first topic is just more therapeutic. A lot of students like to rush through college G. And so I'm just trying to make sure we remember that with the changes that are coming, like we was talking about, that we have to take our time in college. Because 15 credit hours is going to be crazy if you have to do that, or any student have to do that. And so now, will colleges lower their costs? So colleges are very expensive. Universities, private schools, and those two really is only those two types. And then there's like different layers to it that we talked about last night, how you got tribal colleges. They actually just got their funding. Their funding is they're trying to cut the tribal college funding. And tribal colleges, Native American schools. And we talked about how PWI institutions, right? Most schools are PWIs, but when a certain demographic takes over the school, it's going to be considered a PBI, which is predominantly black institution. And then so forth, like Hispanic serving institution. And like different schools have different missions once they get a certain demographic. And so some schools are strictly tailored to different demographics. And I know that's like very, I would say a not popular topic because they want to get rid of like DEI. And personally, we don't really study that topic like that much. We want to stay in something that's more relatable to students and how they can save money going to school. And so once again, no tuition freeze is happening. Colleges are trying to fix their budget, but nobody is really trying to. Well, can you really decrease? It's like a good little, I would say, debate, right? If you ask the schools to cut their price, like cut the prices down, shrink their prices, like their tuition per credit hour, will that hurt them a lot? It will hurt them a lot. If we talk it out, it will hurt them because they're already having budget problems, and they're like, we need. I don't want to say they need money, because like I said, all that stuff gets so tricky about the financial aid, not financial aid, but the financial balance sheets of schools. But right here, where is it? They said, could penny pension house proposal survive? They said this includes new caps of federal financial aid, slimmed down loan repayment options, how higher credit hour requirements for Pell recipients, a steep endowment tax hike, and even a complex risk sharing plan that will put colleges on the hook for a share of student loans that don't get repaid. Nobody, I don't know if people are, have people, if you have student loans in the chat, have you seen any garnishment of your student loans if you pulled out student loans? Because everything seems like what's going on, and truthfully, nobody knows what's going on. But the people at the Department of Higher Ed, no loans. I appreciate that, G. And so it's a lot of things about loans. It's a lot of things about budgets, and we're gonna keep going because we're looking at the Chronicle of Higher Education, which is considered credible when we don't have many topics from Linda. You know, Linda gives us a lot to talk about. Linda, when we hear it from the horse's mouth, that's where we go. And so, where were we? Where is it? Daily Bread. Well, I got two of them up. This might be, it's June 6th. Oh, they took us to another daily briefing when they was talking about the uncertainty. Okay. Let me see. Control F. I did say that. So the uncertainty. I did want to mention this. Not that one. All right. Federal uncertainty keeps forcing higher ed to take unusually decisive actions. The University of South Carolina on Monday restricted hiring. We're going to talk about it. I'm just reading it. Restricted hiring, slowed capital spending, and locked in budget reductions. The University of Arizona has paused work on biomedical hub and restrictions on graduate student admission starting Mountain last month. So a lot of schools have so if you were in college during the pandemic, COVID, or just starting out, I know, like I said, I always tell you, like, I graduated high school in 2017. And when schools in 2020 happened, they didn't have a plan for a pandemic happening or recession happening. And I always like to say, a student would say, how this affects me, because everything always goes back to money. And these schools don't really have, and schools could defend themselves. Like, I'm really open to them defending themselves. A lot of schools don't have plans for, like, if a crisis happened. Like, let's think about it. When the pandemic happened, I was already kind of going online. I was like hybrid. I was in class and online. And when the COVID really hit and we couldn't go nowhere, schools then, like, they weren't prepared if, like, students wouldn't have access to Wi-Fi because some students came from homes they didn't have Wi-Fi. I know at my old job at Georgia Tech, a lot of Georgia Tech in a certain department, they focused on reaching rural areas for students, because in some areas students don't have a Walmart. Some students don't have things that we're used to seeing in a city or semi-city, because I'm from, like, not a big city but a city where we have a Walmart. Some kids are in rural areas, they don't have a Walmart. Like, one of the kids once said, like, hey, when we come to the area, like, I was working in Atlanta, I am working in Atlanta. They were like, no, I was working in Atlanta. I said that wrong. They was like, we want to go to Walmart. You want to go to Walmart? And they, in the, the higher ed professionals are trying to figure out, why do they want to go to Walmart? And, like, we don't have that. So schools have to always prep for, like, schools are not prepping for, like, what the worst can happen. And that can affect you, because it's like, once again, when the pandemic happened, a lot of students were coming back home. And my question was, were they being charged for staying on campus, even though they were coming back home? And you should have that in place, I feel like, because somebody said right here, They said this feels like the pandemic. This feels familiar. Annie F. Harris, president of Grinnell College. I believe it's Garnell or Grinnell, Garnell, depending on how they pronounce it, college. And so they're saying it feels like a pandemic, but people are losing jobs. And when I say people, hire professionals, the people who need to work with you, the people who need to talk to you, assist with you getting into the school, they're losing their jobs. Or if not, they don't have really anything in place because everything changes by the like hour or day. Things changing literally in a moment. Nothing is really. We have policies in higher ed to give a little context, but things are changing like nothing is being official. So like we see, we're seeing Trump block international students, right? But then you turn around and you look, the judge has no, we lifted that. Students can come now. It's like a constant back and forth, and there's no stability in that. And what that do is that hurts schools because, or that hurts students because students are like, I was going to go here, now I'm gonna go there, and then like, do you have backup schools? And so if they saying this feel like a pandemic or a recession, that means what, they're gonna raise the prices again? They literally rose the prices of college because schools apparently lost money when they didn't move the needle for raising prices in higher education. But some schools did raise the prices still after the pandemic. Some schools didn't. And so my question is, it's not a question to you all, but you could have an input. You could comment. Um, will colleges lower the cost? Because this is very opinionated, right? Um, the cost keeps rising, that's a fact. But will the cost ever lower, or at least freeze? There's no policy for a tuition freeze, and I think that's a problem because you have to reinforce this because if you're going to raise, let's think about this, they're going to raise their prices. The schools are going to raise their prices. And students, I always say students because a lot of students get Pell Grant. But for students who don't get Pell Grant, are your parents' wages or are your wages matching the prices of schools? Like schools are raising prices. Are you getting a raise at work? Or are you staying stagnant and it's just doing this? And that's why we said in the beginning, you should take your time and take classes that are on your budget. Because if you're trying to keep up with your friends who are just knocking out classes on time, like you're gonna kind of, what's that word? You're not gonna have no balance. You're gonna like fall off the wagon, as I say, because you're trying to keep up with people who probably don't have a problem with paying for college. Like kids, for sure at Georgia Tech, they take 15 credit hours. Some took 16 credit hours. I don't get that because it's gonna be times that you're not gonna be able to take classes like in the summer. It's gonna be times you're not gonna be able to take classes in the fall when you get so deep in your program. And like I said, when you graduate, you graduate. My hands like this. When you graduate, you graduate. There's no race to graduating. Um, Especially like usually I noticed that when students graduate in 6 years, a lot of times it's a lot of times because the money of the tuition rising, but it's a lot of times that they might get in a jam where courses are not offered in that semester when they need to take it. So you might be you might have to a course that's offered in the spring might be offered in the next spring, but you could have graduated that year. Like, and some students still walk, but they're like, I'm not, according to the statistic, you're not officially graduated. Like, you're not officially graduating until you complete all the program requirements. So I want to see a tuition freeze. I want to see more. I know Texas did that. The governor, the governor actually told colleges in the state of Texas that they had to do a tuition freeze. The governor. I thought that was pretty good because There's no justification. They're just raising it. But their reason for raising it will be the new campus amenities on there, or as they like to say, auxiliary. And so why we can't get that? We really should get that, a tuition freeze. And so that's my thing about lowering the cost of college. And then just start at a 2 year. I like to reinforce that. Bridge to a 4 year. You start at a 2 year. That's our main hook. That's our main hook. You start at a 2 year and bridge to a 4 year. They're talking about community colleges to get a trade, but you can do the same prereqs as we always say, because sometimes you might not catch it watching it on old. You might not watch the old videos, old live streams, which is understandable. But you should definitely start at a 2 year and bridge to a 4 year. Take your prereqs at the 2 year, and your prereqs can be, once again, it could be your math, it could be your English, it could be history, it could be depending on type of history. Talk with your advisor. And then once you take all of those, bridge to your 4 year that actually has your program, which is your bachelor's. You can't get a bachelor's at a 2 year college. But which is weird, a university will offer a 2 year degree or associate's degree, but I wouldn't get my associate's degree at a 2 year. I'm not 2 year. I wouldn't get my associate's degree at a 4 year unless the price is right, like the show. And so that's a little bit about lowering the cost. And let's see what else is in here. I don't want to talk about the last one just yet, because that should be last. Yeah, that will be last. Making ground, 26, checking time. Okay, June 6th. Something else I see in here. Research funding looks cooked. So a lot of times you're going to college and your research is really the point of you going to college. So some of you all might, really every school you go to, it's not even just one school. It's not just research schools. It's all schools. All schools do research. That's the whole point of going to college, to advance research and new methodologies and all that good stuff, right? So it said the Trump budget would slash spending by the government, major research funders, about $18 billion from the National Institutes of Health. Oof. And $5 billion from the from the National Science Foundation. And it picks up the fight to cap overhead cost rates on research grants at 15%. But the administration isn't waiting for Congress. It has terminated more than 1,600 NSF, so National Science Foundation grants, worth more than $1.5 billion since April alone. Now I talk about grants a little. Ouch! I touched my scratch on my face, y'all. So I talk about that hurt. That hurt. I talked about grants. Now you might think grants are not important. But higher education grants are very important. Foundation grants. We got another one. What do you think is the best career to go into right now? Eesh. Chat, what y'all think the best career is? Let me know what career y'all are in first. And then, yeah. And then I'm going to write this down. We talking about grants. Why grants are important right now. That's what we're talking about right now. Why grants are important. And if you don't want to comment in the comment section, it's okay. But by the time I write this, I hope to see something. Why grants are important. That's what we're going to come back to. I'm just writing this down. Resume back. Why? Oh, there we go. What do you think is the best career to go into right now? Alice Marie said, oh, I'm sorry, G. I did not see that you said that. You said I went to a PWI. If you still in the chat, shout out to you. Feel free to name your school too, G. Please feel free to name your school. And Alice Marie said public health. What do I think the best career to go into right now? I'm gonna use my head first, then I'm gonna use ChatGPT. But because it's just my opinion. I would say the best career that I seen really like where you're gonna get a job out the gate. I say cybersecurity, um, or public health. I would say cybersecurity. I would say a skill, honorable mention real quick, a skill easily, public speaking. If you can public speak, you're gonna be great. In these times, a lot of people are scared to really get on camera and admit things. Like y'all know me, I get on camera and I'll tell you like, I can't pronounce this word. And usually right now we're a little mobile. And so I can't really, so what I like to do, I like to go to Google and then have the word play out loud. And you'll probably hear it once we get back to the studio. But right now, I'm trying to pronounce these words. But public speaking about what though? About anything. Public speaking about anything. I think having that skill is great for, that can lead you into politics, that can lead you into of course motivational speaking, but that can lead you into like smaller things like event plan, like being an event speaker, reading like people have you for a certain job at a certain place where you literally like read agendas or like to the public. Like I know in higher education we do a lot of public speaking. Like there's no way around it. Like everybody at some point in higher education has to public speak. And so public speaking I feel like is a great career field. We said cybersecurity. Um like I said, I'm not the biggest one on it. If I was to go back, I say do something in AI. Try to find a school or someone that's credible on training you in AI, artificial intelligence. I'm trying to think of career fields my peers are in. I always think about the certificates too. Oh yeah, I want to talk about G. We got some more right here. Let's see what G said. G said engineering and the best career paths anything hands on. Trades. Careers are not, oh, use that big word right there, upserved by robots and AI yet. Oversaturated. In-game content creation. In-game content creation. Yeah, I'm doing it right now. I'm taking my master's right now, and I'm trying to create something new in higher education because I don't know anybody that talks about higher education openly, even if they might not have the answer to it right away. Like nobody's talking about it. Like your president at your college you went to, G, Alex Marie, and anybody else in this live stream, they make a lot of money, and so I like to talk about those things because higher education just seems like a career. It seems like something we just make an impulse decision on, but it's one of the biggest financial decisions of your life. Like the education you get from going to college is amazing. Cause I did AG. When you do your trade, it sounds like you do trades and hands on. I did welding when I was at my 2 year. Oh, sir, LOL. Kind of like infringe upon, encroach. I was gonna Google it. You beat me to it. I was gonna Google it using big words. I like that though. I'm not a big word person myself. I like to use simple words. I get the job done sometimes. But I did welding my freshman year at my 2 year before I got into my degree, and I did CMS. I mentioned that before on some other streams. Like I said, some of you all probably didn't catch the other streams, and so that's okay. And yeah, and the trade was it was, I just didn't want to keep working hard. I was dressed like an oven mitt. So cybersecurity, public speaking, um, get into something that's always gonna be open in a crisis as well. Something that's always open in a crisis. Like I know for sure education is gonna be open in a crisis. No matter if it's a recession, a war, or anything, a college is gonna be open. Healthcare, right, is gonna be open. An oven mitt, LOL. Yeah, I was like an oven mitt. I wish I had pictures of it. I ain't getting no pictures. I didn't get no pictures. I always think of crisis jobs, and ask ChatGPT. We in 2025 right now. If I ask ChatGPT the best careers to go into, ChatGPT might brag on themselves. They might say you need to do this, get into AI. The best careers to enter. Then we're gonna get back into it. The best careers to enter. That is true. That is true. This one has been going crazy lately. Data analyst, data scientist. That's a high demand right now in industries because chat is going to pull from the internet. I say cybersecurity. I know a lot of people are stepping into cybersecurity jobs right now in this cycle. A software developer, AI engineer, healthcare, nurse practitioner, physician assistant, mental health counselor, therapist, healthcare administrator, and then once again, like G said, skilled trades, electrician, HVAC technician, commercial driver, CDL, and then business and finance, financial analyst, project manager. I am not a project manager guy. I do not like planning things. I've been hearing people say that. I am not a project management guy, guys. I plan in advance, but it's levels to it. I feel like with AI, when you combine AI and project management, that's gonna be a great career field, an easy career field to plan things in advance. Education wise, special education teacher. For all you don't know, I used to be in special education from K through 12. I really didn't get on my reading level until like senior year, junior, not junior year for sure, definitely like senior-ish, but really got there when I was reading books on the Metro bus, when taking the city transportation bus in my city. And then a policy analyst. Never heard no policy analyst. They said, would you like the version of tailored to 2-year degrees? My chat GPT know me so well, but nah, I don't need that. Not right now. And let's see, somebody else said something. Let's see. What about a trade? Alice Marie said, what about a trade? We spoke on that a little bit. But let's talk about the grants, though. Why grants are important. We need to jump back on that, guys. Where we at right now? Because at the end of the video, we break down the college. So if you spoke on your college and told us your college name, we'll break down that college. So we've been getting more people join the live stream. So if you want to mention a college, tell us one college you would like us to break down their tuition. Would I go there? And would would I go there? My 3 things I look at is tuition, like the retention, graduation rate, and all the other fancy things on this college scorecard that tell us about this college. But why grants are important. Georgia State University. I'm writing it down at the end. Georgia State. Okay. Grants. Let me tell you why grants are important, guys, in higher education. So we was talking about the NSF. Where is it? Yeah. So when grants get terminated, people lose jobs. So in higher education, people can bring you in under a grant, literally, and just not staff, faculty, staff, grad assistants, student assistants, those type of jobs that can be hired under grants. And grants are used for research. A lot of people in higher education, people really have jobs, for example, where they write grants all day. For a fun fact, people make good money doing that. So if you can write really good and understand like a disparity in statistics on why this needs to be done, and you can write a grant for it, that is a career field. Very lucrative as well, if you didn't know that. The grants are so important because they help keep, like, prime example, all the medicine we have in the world, and I'm not even a person in health, but I know for sure, like, a lot of health people get a lot of their money from grants. And where do the money from grants come from? Like a foundation. Like, you might have, who is a company that's not disliked right now? A lot of companies are in trouble right now for numerous things. I think we all have I'm gonna say the Felton Foundation. That's my last name. And so, the Felton Foundation, we decided to give out or write out or hand out a grant for $2 million. And whatever school or organization can write the best reason why they need it, they get it. And so those grants help advance research to or schools or health career fields or health companies and stuff like that. And so they compete for it. And what that does is help, like, hey, we need to see what medicine we need. We need to see, like, how can this, we need to see, like, taking this research, because research ain't cheap. You got to interview people. And when you interview people, they need compensation. And when they want compensation, they might want something else. You got to really, like, pour a lot of money into research. You got to buy equipment, depending. You got to travel to the place to see if they have this that can make this medicine. So grants are very good for, like, advancing research in that case and hiring people, because you're going to need, somebody's going to be like, I have to feed my family, but you don't have enough to pay me from the grant. Do you suggest a grant writing course maybe? Yes, please take a grant writing course. I could have did it at my job, my old job, but my old job was so busy, I didn't have the time personally. If you take a grant course, take it. It might lead to open doors in other career fields. You might not be in higher education. You might be in the medical field writing grants. You might be, every career field needs grant writing. It's free money. And all you have to do is explain. Grant writing is just like scholarship writing, literally, except you're explaining and proving why you need this grant. So, but I do wonder how grants are going to look with the future AI. I wonder, are people ChatGPTing grant writing? I do worry about little stuff like that, but it's very good right now. I think that's a very underrated career field. And so, yeah, let's check the live. Make sure nobody said anything else. Oh, I see now. G, now I see your comment. Didn't do a 2-year, but did computer science. That's a great career field, computer science. It's a great career field. That's a great career field. I know a lot of people who did computer science. And then maybe one day I'll tell y'all my secret about me, but I got to talk to somebody real close to me about that if I should tell you all. Had to get some mentorship to see. And so, where we're at right now, 43. All right, let's jump to the last one. Because then we got to do our at the end college. So, the U.S. Department, this is off the U.S. Department of Education, guys. The U.S. Department of Education welcomes Trump-Vance appointees. The U.S. Department of Education today announced additional appointees who will work to carry out President Trump and Secretary McMahon's vision for making American education the best in the world. We're nonpartisan, by the way. Don't think that we lean Republican or we lean left. So let's see right here. Real quick, we got another comment. Y'all know I will stop and enjoy these comments. These are the most comments I ever got right now. Appreciate you, G. I might be a little out of place here, but I went to Columbia University. Whoo! You went to the Ivy League. Shout out to you. My professor went to Cornell. but I'm gonna keep reading your comment. I might be a little out of place here, but I went to Columbia University. Overwhelming number of health grants come from the NIH, even to universities. Tell us the secret, LOL. But I went to Columbia University. Overwhelming number of health grants. Yeah, the NIH. Let's ask Alice Marie if she's still in the chat. Hopefully she is. Alice Marie, do you know about the NIH? If I'm not mistaken, because public health knows a lot more. So that's one thing too. When people go to school for like public health or career fields like that, they know more about. They can know more about me, G, than I would know about like their grants, if that makes sense. But as you said right here, I went to Columbia University. How did you know that though, G? How did you know an overwhelming number of health grants come from the NIH? It's interesting. How you know that? An average college student is not gonna know that. How you know that, G? And so, right, you can look it up. Right. It's so simple, right? You can just look it up. And a lot of students don't know that, right? We can just look it up and it'll show you. So, yeah. NIH, Columbia. You got to think, G, your school, before we keep going, your school is very, very prestige. And I hate to say it, if I had, from experience and working in higher education, you have to just know what to look for. And Columbia is we talked about Columbia actually not too long ago, due to with the Trump administration. You have to know that when people, it's a human looking at this. When a human is reading that grant, they're trying to figure out, does this school deserve it? And it comes down to, from my experience and how I would look at it, I really don't think it matters what school you're at when it comes to like who can produce the best research, right? If somebody is passionate about why they want this, but I can't imagine the number of grants they get, like, or grant requests, like people submitting. I can't imagine how many. And so the person has to read through that and see like, and really like, cause you know, everything has a deadline. So they might be like, hey, the foundation, wherever foundation might be like, we need this by, it's June now. They might say we need it by next month. It's crazy, but they might really tell them that. And those people, these grants are not like these grants they write, they're not one page. Usually they're lengthy in some cases. So that is definitely something that I wish I could answer, but I just always think it's a human reading it, and they're looking at the school title, and they're trying to figure out if this school can do, which school is going to do better work. That's what I want. That's what I want. It's not popping up in my chat yet. I seen that comment. Okay, that's what I want to happen. But the name value plays a large role, but luckily it's based more on the research than the researcher's institution as far as what grants are available. Yeah. Now, don't go deep with me on that, G, because I'm not the biggest grant person. I can speak on it, but I'm not the biggest. More grants are very specific, especially government grants. I'm not the biggest grant person myself. I just knew, like, my supervisor, though, he did that for a living. That was his job, to write grants. Like, write grants, study, research, stats, and all that. I was like, I couldn't do that. So the U.S. Department of Education welcomes Trump Vance appointees. Now, forgive me if I butcher some last names because I don't have my pronunciation tool. So Lindsey Burke, PhD, Deputy Chief. This would be, let me not say that too fast. Lindsey Burke has a PhD. This person will be the Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy and Programs. I'm going to go through these names. I'm actually going to post it in the group chat. That's Lindsey Burke right there. That's one of the appointees. We got Jeffrey. It looks like Andre, but it's like Andrade. Forgive me, but it's definitely Jeffrey. Jeffrey. And then we're going to have Christopher Mack. Now I'm going to try that. But Christopher J. Deputy Assistant, Deputy Assistant Secretary for Higher Education Programs, Office of Post-Secondary Education. That's a fancy title. They're getting paid some good money. When you see that and in there, did they have an and in there? No, they ain't have an and. I mean, they doing like 2 jobs, at least in higher education. Nicholas Moore, Deputy Assistant Secretary for Career, Technical, and Adult Education. They sound like they're going to be more in the 2-year. Now, it's like a big description of what they're going to talk about or do, allegedly supposed to do, and lets you know what school they went to as well. And it's all on the Department of Education. G said Burke was the lead author for the Project 2025 education session. Oh, really? Oh, can I like that? I'm gonna like that, G. I'm gonna like that, G. That's interesting. That's interesting. I'm gonna look that up afterwards. That's crazy. Didn't know that. Check that out. And this name right here, I used the pronunciation tool for Jason. I said Daly. I'm gonna call them Jason Daly. You gonna see why, because they literally starts off with Daly, but I'm not gonna do that. They're gonna be the chief economist and senior advisor, office of the undersecretary. Why did they write it like that? It's the office of the undersecretary. Under the secretary. Yeah. Okay. That's their title though. Just to put things in perspective. Nah, you're putting it in perspective. That's what we need. We all can learn from each other. And that's Jason. Then we got Casey Sachs, PhD, Senior Policy Advisor, Workforce and AI. That's going to be interesting. They literally said right here, Casey Sachs, PhD, is the president of Bridge Valley Community and Technical College and founder of the Wynn Academy Early College Charter High School in Charleston, West. I believe that's Western Virginia. It says WV, so I'm assuming West Virginia, but I'm gonna validate that and make sure. That. I'm gonna post them in the chat too. Oh yeah. We're making strides right now. We're making good pace. Wes, come on. Come on. Come on, computer. We almost there. Okay. Figured. I'll wait till you come back. Did I put Casey in there, y'all? Where's Casey? There go Casey again. Okay. KC and Mir. I knew somebody named Amir. Mir Katz with a K. Senior Advisor, Office for Civil Rights. I actually seen a clip on YouTube. I didn't watch it. It was some problems about. Let me see. Let me Google their name. I'm going to put them in here right quick. But I think they had some problems with this person being the Office for Civil Rights. Because Linda just had her hearing, and I believe they were getting on to her about this. But I'm finna Google it real quick. Why did this pop up? Office of Civil Rights. Let's see. No, nothing popped up yet. But I think they got on to them about that in the court. I'm not gonna say they did because I'm not sure right now. So those are the new appointees. These appointees are gonna make some. I don't know what these appointees are exactly gonna do. Well, I know they're gonna supposedly make it better, but their jobs and how much they have an impact. And like one of our people said in the chat, G, she was the lead author for Project 2025. So we have an idea where that's going, right? We have an idea where everything is going. But the main thing for students to do is start a 2-year bridge to a 4-year. And so it's going to get hard out here. As I said, I invest in the stock market, and the money is constantly going up. Money constantly going up. And I'm not a financial advisor, expert, or anything, but general, I'm like, if I had to put myself in a category, I just understand things sometimes. Sometimes if you want to expand on something, that requires a lot more research if you want to have it down to science, right? And so it's going to get hard for students. We have to think a lot of students in college don't have financial literacy. And so with prices going up, most students want to go to a university, and it's kind of they're trying to make it a thing like you should go to a 2-year. They're trying to push that narrative and go do a trade. It sounds like you are really thorough for the most part. I appreciate that. I try. I really do. I try. I try. And they're trying to push that narrative of doing trades. And trades, I don't know. Trades are very. Do we really see a generation right now want to do trades? When I don't do TikTok, if you go watch some of my old shorts, pushing 2 years is just creating a oversaturation problem for later. Mm. Mm. And so, what was I saying? I lost my train of thought a little bit. But students are not already financial literate. And students don't even understand that, because I'm a student. And so students don't really understand like what's coming after they enter the job market, right? You have a whole new 2026, 2027 class coming out. They didn't mean to throw, you good, you good, you good. I'm not used to having a comment person, so when you show love in the comment section, you get the attention you deserve. Because eventually there's gonna be a lot of us in here, and we're gonna be having these conversations about what college you went to, why you went there, and that lets kids come behind you, know like, oh wow, okay, I should go to this school, and some kids can go to bigger schools out the gate, some kids cannot, but you have to let students know they have options. Like I know a lot of people from my background who didn't go to college because they knew they didn't have the money to go to school. And so they went another route. Like they did career moves they really didn't want to do. And so when they do career moves they really don't want to do, it builds on then you get into the mental aspect, right? Where's our therapist at? Where's our therapist? People who go to school for that. Where they in the chat? We need to get those people in there so they can be like, yeah, that's relatable or whatever. They come up with some good perspectives. I'm not a therapist. So we're gonna jump into the I seen some comments come in from Alice Marie and G. Got some clapping. I'm gonna give y'all some hearts. And then G said, LOL, just wanted to have a conversation. You're pretty interesting. I appreciate that. I try. Once again, I try. As my auntie say, my TT, she always say, you are doing it. And I'd be like, I am doing it. But it's just a need for it. So we finna do the college scorecard. Alice Marie said, I know we got Columbia and Georgia State. I'm gonna make a promise and do Columbia next time. I'm gonna do Columbia next time. I'm gonna do Columbia Monday. We're gonna go live on Monday. We don't go live on weekends. We're gonna go live on Monday. And so, what's that? June 9th, if I'm not mistaken. And I'll be back in another hotel. June 9th, yeah. So yeah, June 9th. It's at Columbia. So the school we're gonna do now is Georgia State University. Georgia State. Let's go, Georgia State. Let's see what you're talking about. In the heart of Atlanta. And by the way, I'm from Columbus, Georgia. I do a lot of traveling for work, yes. I do a lot of traveling for work. Yeah, I do a lot of traveling. Georgia State. Let's see. All right, Georgia State. All right, so we breaking down Georgia State University. I'm gonna put it in a chat. So if anybody joins the chat, joins the live stream, they'll know what we're talking about if they look in the chat. Before we head out, Georgia State University. Cool. You must have some high SAT scores, G. I'm a little jealous. I'm getting a little jealous right now. You got into Emory and Columbia. Let me stop. That's dope, though. That's really dope. Don't ever tell nobody. Like I told my professor, I said, don't never downgrade yourself for saying that. I was like my professor was trying to be humble and say Cornell was just like, it's like any other school. I was like, no, it's prestige for a reason. It's prestige for a reason. You ever seen, it's like Prestige Worldwide. If you seen that movie, Prestige Worldwide. So, Georgia State University has a graduation rate of 57%, according to the U.S. Department of Education and College Scorecard. And they have a midpoint, which means like an average midpoint. The average point, most four-year colleges in America, at least, have a 58% graduation rate. Now, I can understand why their graduation rate is pretty low. I think we all know that Atlanta has terrible traffic. And I have heard about Georgia State campus not being the most accessible and easy for students to get around. And the average annual cost at the school is $15,931. Let's fact check that. Let's go. So what we like to do, we go on the school website and we break down their numbers. Literally, all I do, I go on Google, I say Georgia State University, and then I say tuition and fees, keywords, tuition and fees. Because if you go on any college website, most of them, usually, a lot of them, you're not going to be able to find the tuition and fees on there. It's going to be hard to find. So I like to do that. It takes me directly to what I'm looking for. If I'm trying to find out what college is better for me, and it was the second one, it wasn't that one. And so it's all public record, right? It's all public information. So it's just most people don't look at it, and it's understandable. So they have associate's tuition and fees, but we already know usually when schools are posting their prices in their university, they're advertising their 4-year prices. And shout out to Georgia State because they have their 2025 and 2026 academic prices already on the website. That's very good. And so I got my calculator up on the computer. Excuse me. So what we looking at? So right now, guys, we got to anticipate you're going to be taking 15 credit hours at the start of, well, this probably won't happen until 2026. So I'm going to still say 12. So we got it. This is for undergraduate, not graduate, undergraduate. And so right now for in-state resident tuition, you're going to be, it's 300. Wow, they went up. It's $306 per credit hour. So normally what we're going to do, we're going to say, they already have it on a bar, which I could show y'all. But what I can do, so you can have an idea what I'm looking at. Let's see if this works. Y'all let me know if this work. Oh, don't do that. My professor went there. You can't do that. Maybe that's Ivy League competitiveness. So, um, I posted the Dropbox for Georgia State, like tuition and fees, so you can know what I'm looking at and follow along if you want to. Cause normally what I do, if they 306 per credit hour, I do 306 times 12 because you're going to be enrolled in 12 credit hours. 3, 6, 9, 12. Most schools go by threes. 3, 6, 9, 12. And so that's going to give you that number, which should highlight $3,672. And then that's in tuition. That does not include fees yet. That does not include fees. So you're going to slide all the way to the right, and then it's going to show you $4,332. That's for one semester. And so, as I like to do, guys, I like to do like, okay, so I'm looking at 4,332 at a university times 2. You're looking at, I would round it and say 8,700 pretty much. And that doesn't include your room, your board. And hit the like, subscribe button if you've been in here. Hit the like, subscribe button. That's going to help get that message out there. Y'all been doing a great job in the comment section. But pretty much $8,700. And so when you include the room and board, usually, I think they have it on here. Do they have it on here? No, they don't have it on here. And so when you include room and board, that's, as I like to say, that's an additional $10,000. I don't even question it because when I do all my research in graduate school, it's usually 10,000 extra. So you're looking at $18,000 for each semester if you add on the room and the meal plans. And so some schools charge you separate from dorms and room and board too as well. So those three things can be meal plan, room and board, and dorms. And so that's like an extra $10,000. Do you have 18 grand? And they said it right here as well. The average cost is like $15,000. I think that's off by a lot because they said annual. It's accurate. It's not even accurate because we said we got 8,000. Once we included, we got 8,000 for the year because fall and spring. So I don't know why they're saying that the average annual cost at, now that makes sense because we said 18,000, yeah. So it's like almost 16,000. That makes sense because they're already, I guess, factoring in if you're going to stay on campus. So they're saying, it's going to cost you about 15,000 to go here in your first year, or 16,000 if you round it. So that's expensive. That's expensive because if you do, I'm going to do what the college scorecard said. I'm going to do 16 times 4 because that's 4 years. Because 16 for 1 year, then you do another 16 for your year 2. I'm going to just do 16 for 4. $16,000 times 4. That's going to give you $64,000. Now, what I don't like about this, after they have the median earnings on here. So median earnings, when I looked it up today, y'all, after 10 years of going to the school, this is for financial aid students. Why is it only for financial aid students? I don't know. But it should be for all students. But they say usually after financial aid students graduate from their school, you're going to make about, they say they make $47,000 as a median. Meaning they make either less than that or they're going to make over that. And so that's not a good, because you're going to pay about $64,000 going there. and you might end up making less than that going to the school. So you're going to have a bad ROI. And so this is based on the college scorecard. Would I go there? If I got family there, yeah. But if I'm local, yes. If I'm not local, no. Because meaning like I can still be in, this is in Georgia. Georgia State? Yeah, that's in Georgia. So I could have went to this school, but I would have I would have lost a lot of money. Like I would have not got a debt-free degree going to a school like this because not only that, Atlanta is an expensive area. It's a big city. Like I said, I was strategic with mine. I went to low-cost areas so I can pay my tuition, pay my schooling, and drive my Humpty car around at the time. I had an '03 Hyundai Santa Fe. I'll post that. If y'all remind me, I will post that. I show y'all my old car. I miss my old car, man. And so I thought I seen a new comment real quick before I keep going, but it's not showing yet. And so what else we like to look at too is we talked about the costs. I always like to mention graduation and retention rates. They have a they have a pretty good retention rate. They say 78% of their students return after first year. That's pretty good. We talked about graduation. If you're interested in campus diversity, we talked about the earnings. And then here they're saying, okay, I love to highlight this acceptance rate. They have a 62% acceptance rate. And as I like to say, if you start at a 2-year and bridge to a 4-year, you can have a better chance of getting into the school because 2 years can have an agreement. A 2-year can have an agreement with Georgia State, and then that can bridge you into their school and then make it really easy for you to get in because 62% mean they ain't letting everybody in. Everybody not getting in. It's not like a community college where they have like an open admission policy where everybody can get into a community college. It don't matter like what your grades are. You can go to this community college or this 2-year college. Same thing. So 2-year college, it goes interchangeably for community college and technical college. It could be one of those two names. And so Georgia State, if I clip this up, put it into, which I will, the goal is to talk about each different schools. But if we clip this up, I would give them, Georgia State would be like because you'll lose money on your ROI. They'll probably be a C minus. And we did a video on that with Colorado University too. They were about a C minus because you was gonna lose money going there. Only reason you get a C is because it's not terrible, but you get a C minus, right? Because C plus mean you making strides, but I don't really see them making strides. And there's a lot of other factors about the school too, but if they want a better review, they need to invite us to the campus, right? So we can get a better understanding. And that's Georgia State, and that's everything so far. I appreciate everybody in the chat. That's the last thing we're gonna talk about, the closeout. That's how we end it. I appreciate everybody who showed up. I will see you all Monday, June 9th, probably about the same time. Probably 9 p.m., probably 10, but it's gonna be late in the afternoon. And if you came in, I not scratched myself, but playing ball, I got scratched. Pay attention to everything going on, markets, policies, hearings, Linda speaking. Those are all good for information. And we will see y'all Monday. Yes.